Hi, this is Mark. In this video, I'm going to talk about our reward system and how it's being, the bar is being set higher over time. And this is kind of what's creating the uh, high level of dissatisfaction, even in a society that is tending in the direction towards uh, increased complexity, but also opportunity and possibilities. The possibilities that exist are proportional to the radius of our artificial world that we live in. And basically, the artificial world consists of uh, the world that is altered, the world that humans have altered. So we can define. So the world consists. So we have a artificial world, and we have nature. So there's a key disconnect here. So if we do a timeline, so let's just say this is a timeline. This is the initial point. T equals 0 is right here. And then we have a timeline over here. And let's just say, again, here is this T equals 0. So what we end up having is this artificial world is expanding. It's like a conical lens. So this is like a conical lens right here, just like the shape of the eye. What this means is this is just a range. We're attributing this as, think of this as like a distance right here. And this is basically just showing how over time the artificial world is getting more expansive. So like these are all the elements. You could think of like elements within the set. It started with one element. It's becoming more dense, like populated. What these elements are just information or experiences, anything. It starts with chaos, but eventually we construct order and we create the artificial world by reverting or by converting the disorder into the order. So nature is in the universe. We don't really alter. This is what is called this on Earth. Because on a global scale in the universe, it's not changing so much. So we know like this is essentially being kind of inverted over time. So if we use the same constructs, we're converging. So this would be the point, critical point, where everything was artificial. Nature was all destroyed, or essentially it was replaced by the artificial world, which is not entirely it's not gonna happen, at least in our lifetime. That would be it'd be very difficult to destroy nature entirely. We have a reliance on it, but we're basically we're taking nature and we're converting it, we're shifting it in this over here. So we're basically adding elements to the set of the artificial world, and we're reducing the elements in the set of nature. So there's an interplay here, and they both relay essentially. There's of course with nature there's recycling, but once it's artificially constructed, again it could be recycled, but it's very stable. We put in a stable form like plastic and so forth. This is from the world. It's from nature derived. It's a derivative, and what this is doing though in terms of our feedback system is we're really compressing the events. I like to think of like events as like a movie. So if you consider like a timeline, let's just say these are individual events, frames. Okay, so these are event frames, and this is the distance. We could call this d. So d is actually proportional to processing speed. So what this is an event frame is basically could be defined as like it could be defined in frames per second. So like time the continuum of time seems like it seems continuous. So when we represent time, essentially what ends up happening, so we have, if we draw, I'm going to draw a horrible stick figure. So basically there's input coming into the equation. And then once this is relayed or fed, so basically how would I put this? There's a small region, this region, and then it gets out, and then here's output. So this is input, and this is output, and this is a hiatus. So this is how much time it takes the brain to relay the information and transmit it from input to output. And this is kind of what we can define this event frame as in terms of the hiatus. And this is just the, through time. So what's happening now with the artificial world increasing, we're adding more variables. We're adding more variables to the equation. So what that means is, think about these event frames now. When you increase the demand of society, so by increasing demand of society, so if demand increases, we know that number of variables per frame increases, and then this implies processing speed must increase. Of course, this is by survival of the fittest. To match the demands of the society, everything's tending in that direction, and this implies D decreases, or distance D is getting compressed. So basically, we could have like the scenario. So like this is the event frame. Let's just say this is initial frame. And then this is like a final frame. Basically, there's the same amount of input, same amount of input or elements, but the frame is compressed because processing speed increases. So this is one reason why why our reward system is affected. But another reason is distractions. So with the technological advance, we're diverting our mind in many different directions. So if number variables increases, the mind diverts in more directions. So initially, like, this could be the state, like in the beginning, like when the mind's just going in this direction, but then over time, so this is time, we're bouncing around at a higher frequency. So this is a higher frequency increases. So what I like to think about is, because distraction increases, think of like I like to think of like we exist in some three-dimensional space. Now let's just construct an area with radius r. So what I'm doing right here, and this is just the center, is this is an analogy. So this is basically proportional to this timeline right here. So this is the initial case. So this is let's just say this is for T naughts. So T naught, and this is TF for T final. So basically this case is T naught, and then we're transgressing to the next case. So what ends up happening is, what we're going to do right here is, suppose suppose that we're in this event right here, and basically we're confined to this region. This is our area with radius or volume. It's a volumetric because it's going to be in three-dimensional space. But let's now represent it as a timeline. Here's a time. The time within event. So this is an event. So we can just call this like a event number 1. And then event number 2. Equivalent. We're going to make it equivalent. So same radius. But now what we're doing is, because there's more distractions, the probability is much higher that this is going to be compressed. So it's a compressed time frame. Compressed because we're distracted, so the probability of going outside this region is going to be higher. So basically, we may get a call, we have a job to do, and we have to go leave the event. So this is like it's called like event number 2. So what this entails is that basically we get reward per event. And it's like you want to go fishing, you get a reward. But since we're moving and shifting to different regions, and we're seeking novelty at a higher frequency, the reward is being occurring at a higher frequency. So basically, I like to think of it like this. So if we have a line, it's like a cyclic process. I like to think of it. Suppose it's a cycle. It's all relative to what the position was before. So this is a reward. And right here, what's ended up happening is this is the this distance right here for this case is it's a cycle. You know, and then we have this distance cycle number 2. ... and so forth. But this is for a case event. This is for this is the initial. Let's just say this is initial case. So if we do a timeline, let's just do a timeline. So this is like t equals 0. So let's just say it's some this corresponds to this event, and then this is into the future. So we're going to do another event frame, and then we're going to do reward. So what's end up going to happen is it's like this. So basically the cycles it's all getting compressed and so forth. The distance between here is being shortened and repressed because we're getting reward. Novelty is increasing, of course, so the frequency has to increase. And so this corresponds to over here. So we know the process of adaptation. So like anytime if you go to sleep the same time every night, you get used to that. Or every time you eat this, food at a similar time, you get used to that. Your body acclimates. Your body, it's like a force that pulls you, or you get hungry. That's like the force. Same with reward feedback. It's like a force. So our demands are increasing. It's kind of becoming short-circuited. And, we have to satisfy this to build contentment. So therefore, if we reverted back, like if we were to revert back to this case, depression would ensue, because what ends up happening is we're not acclimated. It's such a fast change. So reverting back in time creates instantaneous creates an instantaneous dampened reaction. So now it's not going to match this cycle right here. It's going to be dampened relative to this cycle over here. And so by regressing causes the reward to dampen. So like, how would I put this? So if we did like, so this is like reward. How would I put this? So, okay. So let's just say we're doing reward as a function, or we're doing like, let's just say one cycle. So this is, let's just say solid is t equals t naught. Okay. So now what we're going to do is, we're going to do dashed. So t equals t final, converting to t equals t naught. So we're going to revert back. So basically, we had this response in the future, and then we're reverting back to the past. So what's going to happen is it's going to be dampened. Very likely, it's just going to be dampened. Because we're not getting at the frequency of exchange, and we haven't acclimated, and so it's well, technically, how would I put it? Technically, this wouldn't be the case. It could follow multiple different actually cases. It could actually be depending on novelty. So the reward is proportional to novelty. So depending on the novelty, it's gonna. But what's gonna happen is the processing speed, the demands are lowered, so we're not going to receive the reward feedback that the stimulation, the stimuli. So it's going to be dampened overall globally, from a global standpoint. So, because it's going to be much easier to become bored for this case. So like if we regress back and it's totally new, it can be amplified. But let's just say a better example. So the example is video games. So we're going to do by resolution. So we know resolution and reward. Reward should be on the y-axis, but anyways, if resolution increases, so the higher the resolution should be the higher the reward. So essentially, so they should be a direct relationship. So if resolution's like 0, so we can think of it like this, or it doesn't necessarily have to be linear. So basically, as resolution goes up, reward also, it's a direct relationship right here. So reward is a function of resolution. So if you increase the graphics, so forth, you're going to derive more reward. But now, this is like the future. So this is the future. This could be the present. And anything over here is the past. So by regressing, so basically by shifting over here, the reward's going to be amplified based on the distance. So this is like this is a distance. So as the distance increases in the future, it's going to be amplified. But if we revert back now to the past, it's going to be dampened. So from present to future, reward amplified, and then from present to past reward is dampened. So this is like kind of showing what's happening. And we have to satisfy our demand continuously. And therefore, as we go towards the future, our demands are going to increase and increase. We need more stimuli. We need more stimuli, and this is going to kind of cause problems if we don't receive that. And that's why it facilitates depression, and that's why depression is part of the reason why it's on the rise. So hopefully this made sense. I tried to explain it. I didn't no preparation beforehand, so I just kind of this is just my mind just overflowing my ideas. So it could not be so consistent because depends on preparation as well. But hope it made sense, and at least maybe I got partial credit, but anything's better than zero credit. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Oh my gosh.